welcome back to Dukascopy TV. We're joined in the studio once again by Jean-François Owczarczak to discuss FX and gold today. Jean-François, thank you very much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me, Monica.
No, we were having a little discussion there.
Yeah.
We've left it on the super scalper's view. Could you tell us a little bit about this and what we're looking at just now?
Yes, we're looking at a very short-term chart using Fingraphs. Basically, you have the same presentation as you usually have on the investor's view, on the trader's view, but here you're on the super scalper's view. So you have a 60 seconds, a 15 seconds, and a 5 seconds. And what is interesting about it is that it updates live, it streams. So you have a new price coming in on the 5 seconds every 5 seconds, every 15 seconds on the 15 seconds chart, and every 60 seconds on the 60 seconds chart. And as you could say, very short term, and this we at 14 hours CET, you're moving up on the 60 seconds. You just had a rally and reached the target zone. You still have a bit more to go on 15 seconds, and you're in an intermediate correction on the 5 seconds.
Okay.
But that's it for now for the very short term, and let's go to our usual suspects.
Fantastic. Okay, so if we look first of all maybe at the euro dollar.
Sure.
Market has been hit by weaker than expected data coming from China, but what are the graphs showing us at the moment?
Let's have a look. So if we go into the euro, let's look at our usual investor's view. Well, you're still in a negative situation on the longer term, with the weekly still being in a bear move, the daily still being in a bear move too, and approaching or in this correction zone. So we've reached the initial targets of this correction zone. We had a bounce. The time target of this correction zones allow us to think that there could be some more retesting of this zone before this correction is over. Now if we go to the hourly, last week we were mentioning that we were reaching intermediate levels of risks, and that the trend in place could continue over the first few days of the week, but we should watch out for risk reward towards mid-end of the week. And pretty much what happens, basically we were at stress on the envelopes and we're very much in the red on the oscillator. However, the trend doesn't seem over. There's a bit more to go towards the 131.6 to the 132.8 zone. So the uptrend is still there on the hourly, and looking at it on a daily perspective, it's challenging this correction down a bit, but we still think there should be further retracement into the zone before the euro could confirm perhaps a further longer term uptrend.
Okay. Now, what about if we look at our other usual suspect, as you call them, the pound against the dollar? Pound was also hit by data. But we always like to give our viewers a little bit of a message going forward. So what's the message this week for the...
Let me have a look. Well, the pound also on the weekly is still in a downtrend. And we're showing corrective down targets now. That means we would have these first targets here around the 145 level before being able to consider more. If we go zoom out and back to the daily, well, the move that we've been following over the last 3 months for us isn't over. That means we had quite a lot of stress here early March on the risk index as well as on the envelopes, hence the intermediate correction up that we've seen at the moment. But at some point over the next few weeks, we should see a downtrend towards these impulsive down levels. Now over the shorter term and over the next week or so, well, still moving up. We had this intermediate top as with the euro last week. It is still quite expensive, but the machine tells us here that there's a bit more time and a bit more potential. So also here maybe another figure or so during this week. And so it's a bit too early to call the end of this correction up yet. And it's a bit too early to consider a resumed downtrend as we see here on the daily.
So we wish to talk about gold. Now the yellow metal has hit almost a 2-year low. What can we say from that at the moment, looking at the charts?
Well, there's been a very strong sell-off over the last few days. We were here the 6th of March when gold was in the high 1500s, and we were envisaging at least 100 points down. Well, we've easily done them. And so now we're going to look at the situation, and maybe there's more given the strength of the sell-off.
Yep, sure.
And so I quickly wanted to have a look maybe at gold and silver together because it's quite interesting. Gold managed, and the graph is a bit small here, but I just wanted to put both in perspective here. We just nudged upon the corrective targets here. That means that if we go through them, it opens the door to much lower targets, towards the 1200s. And so, I mean, there's about once you go through a corrective target, we have about a 2/3 to a 70% chance of reaching the impulsive target. So although it's not 100% guaranteed, there's a lot of danger there, so you must be careful. And we've gone through these corrective targets already on silver, for example, and it brings us with targets below 20. So there's a lot of risk there. It's quite dangerous. So now if we focus on gold, well, we're nudging upon these corrective targets. With what happened today, we're below them. If we stay below them during the week, we would confirm that we are in an impulsive move down, and with much lower targets as previously mentioned. Over the shorter term, if we look at the daily, well, basically our targets, which were calculated by the machine, were around the 1450. I think we're around 1400 at the moment as we speak. So we've had a very, very strong move. We could be getting towards oversold territory on the daily. That is, let's look at it on a shorter term basis. Similar situation here. We've done an I2. The target was on the hourly 1405. We almost reached that. We're getting into the green here on the oscillator. We may be slowly getting towards a point where we could have a bounce. But overall, I remain very, very cautious on gold, because if we are moving below the corrective targets here, we're moving in impulsive down targets, and there's another 200-300 points to go if that is the case. And just to finish off on the super scalpers,
yep, let's
we
go back
can
to
have
where
a
we
look
started.
on the super scalpers on gold. And are we in a slight correction up at the moment? You can see here the chart is labeled from, this is the 60 seconds. So it had corrected up in downtrend again. And if we look at the 5 seconds, just let me zoom out. If we look at the 5, so we're going to move up here on the 60 seconds, just turned bearish on the 15 seconds, and are correcting down, and may resume the downtrend on an impulsive move down on the 5 seconds.
Okay, so certainly one for the watching.
Exactly. But it's moving very quickly, so very short-term charts are important at the moment.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your insights and for the tips once again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Monica.
Well, that's all from Jean-François and myself. Don't forget we have Commodities Corner on Tuesday and Thursday at Dukascopy. So for more interesting insights on gold and other metals, please do click back for that. Bye for now.